Hey guys, it's Dinkeldork here, and today I'm going to be talking about how to import custom appearances to your weapon items that you've either found online or created yourself. There's various websites or discords online like modelchanging.net where you can actually find custom appearances for weapons already. A lot of these, however, don't actually come with a patch MPQ file that is easily accessible, so you end up having to actually import them yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how we can do that today. The weapon we're actually going to be working with today is Calamity's Edge. This is an appearance that I went ahead and exported myself, and I'm going to be sharing with you guys in the link in the description. I'll also leave a link in the description for modelchanging.net so you can go ahead and browse to your heart's content. In a future video, I'll probably be talking about how you can actually export these models and import them to your Wrath of the Lich King client yourself, but for now, I figured it would be good to just use a pre-made example. Last time we left off by creating an actual custom item with its own individually unique stats and its own unique ID. This time we want to go ahead and give it a unique appearance as well. You're going to need a couple things for this particular process. First, you're going to need a DBC editor or WDBX editor. I actually prefer this editor myself because it lets you see a lot of the table's contents depending on which expansion you're playing, and you can actually open more than one file at a time. The other thing you'll obviously need is HeidiSQL. If you don't know how to use HeidiSQL, you can go ahead and look at some of my prior videos, and it'll explain how you can navigate the various tables and functions of said program. First thing first, we're actually going to go ahead and download the files I linked in the description for Calamity's Edge. After that's done, you should see a file that looks something like this. Keep this open as we're going to use it for a reference guide when it comes to putting in the information in our item display info and item DBC. Next, we're either going to use DBC editor or WDBX editor. I'm going to go ahead and use WDBX editor just so you guys can see how this tool functions as well. I'm going to go ahead and open files, and I'm going to navigate to my DBC folder for my server or my client, one of the two. Server is preferable. You don't actually have to change the tables for your server for this particular project, but it is good to have some consistency across the board, and I just like consistency, so I'm just going to use my server files instead. I'm going to navigate to item DBC and select Wrath of the Lich King 3.3.5. If you've imported item DBC or item display DBC through spell editor into your SQL, you'll notice that the IDs are actually different. WDBX editor tends to be a little bit more accurate as far as what column does what. If you remember from last time, we actually created an item entry already for this particular item, so we're just going to go ahead and leave this open for now and come back to this later. The second thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open item display information from our DBC folder. Select Wrath of the Lich King again. As you can see, you can actually access both of these files here and switch between the two. I'm going to go ahead and double click Item Display Info DBC, and I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom. Here I'm just going to go ahead and create a new entry by inserting a line and choosing a unique ID that wasn't used before. If you want to change an existing item's appearance, all you would do is actually change the names for these particular files to match names of the weapons that you want. But since we're creating a completely new item, I'm just going to keep these names the way they are. Then we're going to go back into our folder and reference the file names. What we're looking for is the model name 1, and this is typically the M2 file. So we're going to go ahead and copy that name and insert it into model name 1. And at the end, we're going to put a period MDX. Make sure that you don't copy the M2 and that you switch it to MDX instead. Next, we're going to look for the model texture, and this is typically a BLP file. This BLP file will usually have a similar name to your actual M2 file, so go ahead and copy the name of said file and insert it into model texture 1. Next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to look for the inventory icon by referring to the display info for the original Manslayer of Karaji. That display info is 33,882. And it looks like the inventory icon is sort of 56. If you wanted to, you could actually import custom icons yourself, but I figured I'd just stick with the program here. Of course, this is something that you can change to whatever icon you want, but I'm just going to go ahead and stick with the original icon. After that's done, go ahead and click Save. And we're going to go back into our item DBC and scroll all the way to the bottom. The display info ID is the ID number that we just inserted in the other DBC file, which was 80,006. After that's done, I'm going to go ahead and save that file as well. Now this next step, you actually have a few different options available. You can either create a new MPQ and put all your files in order in it. Make sure that you keep the file structure. Make sure you keep the file structure the same, but I'm going to go ahead and just choose an existing MPQ. And it's just going to be patch 2 MPQ, because that's where I put most of my custom item appearances anyway. For some of you who play on multiple servers, it might just be more feasible to create a new MPQ folder. Just make sure that you follow the same directory naming path and you should be fine. So we're going to navigate into item folder, object components, and scroll down to weapon. Then we're going to go ahead and add the files that I had you download earlier. Copy and open. I already downloaded these earlier, so I'm just going to say yes to all. And I'm going to exit out of that. I actually keep my DB files folder in a different patch, so I'm going to go ahead and put the item display info and the item DBC into that folder itself. Go ahead and hit the green add files button and navigate back to your DBC and import both the item DBC and item display info DBCs. And hit yes to all. If you're ever having trouble making the item actually appear in game, it's probably because you didn't put your files in the correct path. So it's good to experiment with different files and to just go ahead and see what each one contains and maybe insert them in a few different files and see which one works. Last but not least, we're actually going to go ahead into our HeidiSQL and change the display ID for our custom item to 80,006. After that's done, we're going to exit out of that. We're going to shut down our server. Go ahead and restart your server. And make sure to delete the cache folder in your WoW client folder. Then go ahead and log back in. If all went well, you should see your new custom item appearance, and that's pretty much it. The next video I do on actually how to import and export custom item appearances, I'll likely repeat the process that we went through today, but I figured it would be good to practice here, just so you can get prepared for that in the future. But that's it for now. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys on the other side of Azeroth.